In this video, we're going to be making a snowy winter forest from scratch with some inexpensive materials. Let's get to it. So, the first thing we're going to need is some trees. In one of the earlier videos on my channel, I showed a method for making conifer trees, and we're going to use a similar method with a few refinements. First, we're going to start with some natural jute fiber twine. The thickness of the twine doesn't matter very much because the plan here is to simply unravel the strand and use the fibers that make up each strand. I cut a length about 6 inches long, then twist it to unravel the 3 component twisted bits, which allows you to pull those apart individually. Then twist each of those to straighten the fibers. Once they're straightened, you can simply pull the fibers apart. I lay these fibers flat in a long bundle. Once I have enough, I trim them into piles roughly 1.5 inches in length. These fibers are going to be the boughs and branches of the trees in the finished tree. Next, you need some wire. I use this 19 gauge annealed steel wire. I cut a few lengths of this wire and I bend them in half, making a hairpin type shape. I'll try to link similar materials to what I use in the video description, but you could also find something like this at your local hardware store. Annealed wire has a greasy, dirty coating to it, but it's not too hard to cut and has the right malleability for what we need, so I like it. I then lay the cut fibers in between the two wires, spacing them out fairly evenly. I lay the shorter ones at one end and the longer ones at the other, but that's not particularly important, as you'll see in a moment. With 2 pairs of pliers, I twist these wires together, trapping the fibers in the middle and spinning them into a shape that looks kind of like a bottle brush. If you want a bit of the old carpal tunnel, you could absolutely continue this whole process by hand using the 2 pairs of pliers, but it's much faster and easier to use a power drill. Simply clamp down the chuck on one end of the wire, hold the other end with the pliers, and let her rip. And just like that, a very satisfying proto-tree emerges. But this tree looks like it's just rolled out of bed after spending the last 30 years in the Chateau d'If, so let's give it a quick haircut, giving it that nice taper that conifer trees are known for. By rolling the trunk in your thumb and forefinger, you can rotate the tree and don't even need to move the scissors. Nice. I make a bunch of different sizes, and as they're finished, I stick them in some scrap foam to keep them upright and unsquished. Now, I did a few tests with some other fibers as well. This coconut fiber that I got at a pet store worked okay, but it ended up a little bit scruffy. I'll keep experimenting with other methods and keep you guys updated in the future, so make sure you're subscribed. As you can imagine, I love experimenting with new ways to make things, and so this summer, when my son painted a large painting, I decided to make a frame to match, using some knowledge from the sponsor of today's video, the Woodworkers Guild of America. See, the problem was, I was unsure how to finish the project, but after watching a video on choosing the correct top coat, I felt confident to move forward with a simple oil finish. The Woodworkers Guild of America is a fantastic resource for woodworking instructions, ideas, and information. I particularly enjoy the clear, thorough, and well-presented articles like Commonly Used Woods or Upping Your Wood Buying Game. In a world that's overloaded with information from dubious sources, it's refreshing to have a focused, curated resource that's written by experts that doesn't automatically autoplay something unrelated. Plus, I've always just wanted to join a guild, which is pretty cool. So if you want to join, go to the link in my description and get the first full year of Woodworkers Guild of America Premium for only $1.49. The offer is valid for new members only, but that's a pretty incredible deal. Thanks Woodworkers Guild of America for sponsoring this video. Okay, let's build a little landform for these trees to sit on. I'll start with a little scrap chunk of insulation foam and carve this up with a hot wire cutter. If you can't get insulation foam where you are, you could use layers of cardboard or something. It's going to be completely covered later anyways. I glue that shape down to a piece of foam core board, which will make a nice base. Next, to make my rock landforms, I start gluing bark all over the piece. I got a huge bag of bark chips at my local Home Depot in the garden center, and it was pretty inexpensive and makes a great rock texture. I made one side into sort of a cliff face, with the other a more gentle slope with a few pieces of rock sticking out. Once I had that all down and knew what the final shape was going to be, I cut out the hill on an angle, making a nice gradual slope all the way down. I recommend you wear gloves for the next step, in case you leave this piece at a crime scene or something and need to make sure that it's not traceable back to you. It's time to mix up some freeze-dried cottage cheese, a product which allows astronauts to get their daily protein intake while in outer space. I'm just kidding. This is Sculptamold, a paper fiber and plaster blend. You can get this at most hobby or art stores, but I'll also put a link in the description below. Once that's mixed up nicely, it's time to start applying it to the piece. If you wanted to be all fiddly about this, you could try spreading it on with a knife, but I find it easier to just get my hands in there. I smooth that on everywhere, as this will fill gaps between the different materials and the even coverage will mimic heavy drifts of snow. I push it around into the rocks. With a bit of water on my fingers, I smooth out the surface as it dries. One of the things I really like about Sculptamold is how quickly it dries. Within about 15 minutes, it's hard enough and dry enough to paint, which means you can move forward right away with your project. To make sure I have enough trees, I test fit them on the piece now, stabbing their wire stems right through the Sculptamold and into the foam. To get the dense forest look that I want, you actually have to kind of make a lot of trees. So I think I made something like 15 and a few extras that didn't make it into the shot. I use a couple of minis to make sure that I have the right density. I want the densest forest possible that still allows me to put my little mini guys all over it. In case you're wondering what miniatures these are Imperial Guard Valhallan soldiers, and I think they're out of print at this point. To be honest, it's already looking a lot like a snowy forest, but we can do much better than this. Let's paint and finish this thing. To start, I'm going to add some simple bark texture and thickness to the tree trunks. I wrinkle up a little bit of tinfoil, then unwrinkle it, leaving the pattern of the wrinkles in it, and then I glue that on with some hot glue. That's it, quick and simple tree bark. If you wanted to make the branches of your tree come all the way down to close to ground level, you could probably even skip this step. Time to paint. I take this thing out in the garage and hit it with some textured spray paint. This step is maybe not necessary, but it adds extra texture and durability to the trees that I think is worth the extra step. When that's done, I spray everything with a flat black primer. Back inside, I'm going to use an airbrush for these next steps. This is totally not necessary, but if you got the toys, you might as well use them. So I start by spraying white from above, bringing back the lightness while leaving some of the dark shadows in the rocky bits. If you don't have an airbrush, I would use a can of white spray paint for this, or maybe even just dry brush it with some white craft paint. Both those methods would work fine. Next, I spray all the snow areas with light blue. This will barely be visible in the final product under the snow, but it'll give a little bit of a chilly feeling where the blue does peek through. I spray the rocks with transparent brown as well to give them a streaky wash with some watered down black paint, and I try for some more natural variation. Time to let it snow. To apply the snow, I make a mixture of about 50% matte Mod Podge with 50% Woodland Scenic Soft Flake Snow. I tried a few different snow products before landing on this one. Some of them have bits of silver glitter in them, which I really didn't like. Homemade methods like baking soda look nice at first, but they run the risk of turning yellow with time, which, unless you want your piece to look like a lot of huskies ran through there, it's not ideal. And some products like micro balloons are literally powdered glass that are really unsafe to work with, and I just don't want them in my house. So Woodland Scenics it is. I apply this snow mixture to the whole base, trying for a nice even coverage, using an old paintbrush. On the rock faces, I load up the brush and brush it lightly downwards, depositing snow just on the top edges where it would naturally collect. The key here is to not cover the rock face completely and let that natural bark texture really shine. It helps at this stage to use reference images to make sure you're getting a realistic effect, especially if you're from somewhere warmer and you didn't grow up around this stuff. I'm from Canada, so sometimes I take for granted this cool environmental phenomenon that happens just outside my door all the time. If you're wondering what snow feels like in your hand, it kind of feels like a bag full of sand. Well, not really. The Mod Podge makes it clump up in nice drifts and piles, and it looks pretty good. The Mod Podge dries transparent, so after one layer, there was still way too much blue showing through. Maybe I could have gone with a little bit of a lighter blue underpainting, but either way, a second coat probably would have been called for. In the second coat, just to make sure I had a little bit more opacity, I added a bit of white ink to the mixture as well. You can see how the blue peeking through around the edges and in some of the shadows gives it a really chilly, wintry vibe. Perfect. To paint the trees, I simply did a spray paint of green from above over the black primer layer. I used an airbrush, but the last time I made these I used green spray paint and both work equally well. This leaves the trees quite dark, but it makes a really nice contrast, and in my opinion, it looks really good. With those painted, I applied the same snow mixture to each tree, starting from the top down and leaving them with about the same coverage as a frosted mini wheat, I guess. The amount of snow you apply is totally up to you. If you add more and more coats, you could get the appearance of a tree that's like completely covered in snow, like these photos here, or you could go for only a light dusting. Because of the Mod Podge, they do look a bit less snowy when they're dry, so do multiple coats and go slowly, you'll figure it out. Personally, for this project, I didn't opt to go too snowy because I like this look here. So when the snow mixture is dry, you can stick these in wherever you want on your base. I used a little pokey tool to make spots for them and then just slotted them in. I didn't even use glue, which will make these easier to store and adjust if I want. If you're a wargamer like me, you can even pull some trees out to allow some minis to go through the forest, then stick them back in after. And that's it. If you like this project, subscribe to the channel and check out my other videos. You could also consider supporting me on Patreon. We've got a really cool Discord community over there where we share tips and progress pictures of our work, and it's a huge help to the channel. If you do end up making something inspired by this video, please send me some pictures. I love to see everyone's work. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time on Eric's Hobby Workshop.